The 3:30 p.m. meeting of the Bakersfield City Council is now in session.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to call to order the 3:30 City Council meeting of June 24th, 2026. Madam Clerk.
Mayor Go.
Here.
Vice Mayor Core.
Here.
Councilmember Arias. Councilmember Gonzalez. Councilmember Weir. Here. Councilmember Smith. Councilmember Coleman.
Here.
And Councilmember Bashir Tosh.
Here.
Thank you. Here are a few guidelines. Everyone in attendance is expected to adhere to the rules of decorum established by resolution of the City Council. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Public statements.
Do we have any public statements, Madam Clerk?
Mayor Go, we have not received any public speaker cards for non-agenda items, nor have we received public speaker cards for agenda item public statements.
Thank you. Next item, please.
2026 Regional Transportation Plan discussion by KernCog.
Mr. Clegg.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Our COG Director, Jay Schlosser, is here to provide you with this regular update that is required by some of our statutes, but also just a good opportunity to stay updated on important topics. And so we'll turn it over to Jay.
Very good. Madam Mayor, council members, to introduce myself, my name is Jay Schlosser. I'm a licensed engineer and recently appointed as Executive Director for the Kern Council of Government. By recent, I mean I think I'm hitting my one-year anniversary in a couple of days. I took over for Aaron Hakimi, if that name rings a bell for what we do and where we're at. So thank you, City Manager Clegg. To talk a little bit about what I'm here for today, I'll be brief. Every 4 years, the Kern Council of Governments produces what's known as the Regional Transportation Plan. That's a federal and state required document that is a long-range transportation plan for the entirety of the County of Kern. Part of the process in the 4th year, which we're in right now, the year in which we adopt the plan, we go to each of our constituents, all 11 cities in the county and the County of Kern, provide a little presentation. In a couple of those meetings, we do a public hearing. We had a public hearing in the city of Tehachapi and also at our own board meeting last week, in which we take official comment and feedback on the plan. But that's the purpose for me this afternoon, is just to give you 5 or 10 minutes and let you know what we're doing and, of course, answer any questions that you may have. So who are we and what do we do? The Kern Council of Governments is a JPA-created organization dating back to the 1970s, in which each of the 11 cities in the county and the county themselves voted to empower the COG to handle this obligation from the federal and state governments. And with that obligation comes money from tax money, gas tax money in particular, from the federal and state government that we then plan for and utilize all across the county. Councilmember Smith has dutifully handled his duty. I think this is amusing, by the way. Councilmember Smith is our chairman, and the backup is Councilman Arias. So the two that represent you all on our board are not here with us today, but that's okay. They have, particularly Councilmember Smith, has dutifully held the position of chairman on our board for many years now and has helped to lead the COG well. Additionally, you guys are represented by Supervisors Couch and Parlier from the County of Kern, in so much as they advocate for items that both fall within both jurisdictions. Please do consider us an extension of your staff. We work closely with Bakersfield City staff. And I would proudly report that we enjoy a really positive relationship with a lot of different members and levels of staff, obviously the city manager's office, but also Public Works and Development Services. So how do new projects get funded? That's always the big question is, well, you guys talk about, you create these plans and you have money to spend, so how do we actually pick the projects that we do? So step one is what I'm here to talk to you about today, is we generate this 20+ year-long regional transportation plan. Projects that are to be funded must be programmed in the RTP. And so as a result, we're very generous in the way that we program projects. We try to cast a very wide net full of ideas for things that we need from the transportation sector. And then they fall into different tiers in the RTP in terms of their level of funding. Imminent projects are projects that are funded and are in the process of being developed for construction. And then we have some secondary tiers of projects that we have good ideas for, where we maybe have ideas for funding but don't yet have that funding. And then we have a list too of just great ideas that one day we hope to fund. We want to hear from you. We've just concluded our federally required 4-year public outreach process. We've gathered output from almost 10,500 residents here in Kern County on how we ought to spend about $14 billion in gas tax funds that we expect to receive in the next 20 years. We've had over 50 public workshops and booth events. About half of our comments come from online surveys. Did anyone here get a strange text message about an online survey? I've met a few people that has my name on it. I had a few phone calls this year, like, what is this spam? And I see your name, but it's really real. We do statistically accurate surveying to find out what people in Kern County really care about, how they travel, and what matters the most to them. And so this is pretty useful information for you all and is always available to you. What do they want? The answer we always hear year after year is from the grassroots, bottom up, is maintain and fix and finish what we have now. That's always top priority. That, by a long shot, is what the residents of Kern County want, is for us to focus on maintaining what we have. Today, a packet was provided to you. In that packet is a transmittal letter, information about the public meetings that we've held, which you guys are near the very end of our list of public meetings. A draft executive summary of the plan was included, along with a listing of the projects benefiting your sub-area in the county. This is a little bit interesting, or confusing data-wise, but if you go to, let me see if I can find it for you. It's page 1 of 23. It's about midway through. It's a chart that looks like this. You don't have to turn to it if you don't like. I'll read off for you. But in that shows about $7.95 billion in funding for road maintenance that we expect in the next 20-plus years. That gathers together essentially all of the funding sources we're aware of, including funds that are spent outside of Kern County agencies, namely the state of California. 64.3% of the population of the county resides within the city of Bakersfield, and 81% of the funding that's identified in this plan benefits the residents of the city of Bakersfield. Doesn't mean that we're in the same area. We consider that a project, for instance, on 7 Standard Road has great benefit to the residents of the city of Bakersfield, even though that's a County of Kern project. So major projects benefiting your area, of course, include the nearly $8 billion in funding for road maintenance that we've identified. But we also look at projects like there's $100 million the state of California has programmed for rehabilitating 99 that you guys should see go to construction hopefully in about a year. Hopefully this is not a surprise to you. This will be a pretty impactful construction project. But we are also spending quite a bit of time on completing the work at 58 and 99. The 7th movement, as you all are well aware, is under construction now, and the 8th movement is scheduled for construction next year. And then, of course, items like high-speed rail are included in the plan. As debatable an issue as that is, I'll leave it alone, but I'll state that we do include and try to understand what projects like that look like and how they're going to impact our community. Comments on our plan are due on July 2nd, so we're almost out of time. But if any of you all have comments, please let us know, or you can pass them through the city manager's office to us. Again, we communicate pretty regularly. We will work on response to comments with the intent to adopt the regional transportation plan in our August meeting. That includes an EIR, it includes an SCS, air quality conformity. It's a pretty big document, as well as our FTIP, or the Federal Transportation Improvement Program, which is a 4-year plan of money that we already have in hand and exactly how we intend to spend it. So please don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions, or I can try to answer any questions you might have now. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Schlosser. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests from the public? We don't actually have to go to them. City Manager Clegg, any concluding remarks?
Yeah, just a couple of quick summary thoughts, and I would just reiterate what Jay had communicated, that our Public Works Engineering staff and City Manager's Office staff have had the benefit of long conversations with KernCog and other municipalities throughout Kern on these priorities and on these projects. I agree that Councilmember Smith represents the city very well as chair of KernCog and as the city's appointee, and so we have had the opportunity to comment early in the process on this plan and are supportive of this plan.
Thank you. Colleagues, any request to speak? Councilmember Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Schlosser, for the presentation and for coming to City Council today. I certainly appreciate it. And I also appreciate the partnership. Outside of council meetings, enjoyed having opportunities to meet with you and to talk about critical issues facing Bakersfield's urban core. I had a question. You mentioned that in your public surveys, maintaining existing infrastructure comes at the top of the list. I could understand that. Many of my neighborhoods that I represent are over 100 years old, and they need they're desperate in need of repair and maintenance. And so I think that I share that priority. But one of the other issues, and it may seem on this dais, and it may seem to city staff a minute issue, but in fact it is an important one to many of the folks that I represent, and that is regarding the off-ramp on southbound 99 at Stockdale, the Stockdale off-ramp. Caltrans has stated in the past that they intend to eventually close this exit. I think that would be a huge mistake. There are many people who rely on that exit to get to work, get to school. What role does Kern COG play in influencing and working through this issue where it appears the local community, my constituents and myself, and I think some others, disagree with Caltrans' plan and recommendation?
Sure. Very fair question. I think the answer I'd give you is maybe not going to be the best news for you. I think that cake got baked quite a few years ago, prior to my time, in terms of when they were determining and laying out how to extend 58 to the West Side Parkway and construct improvements. I was, for instance, surprised about the way access to Ming Avenue changed through that area, and likewise the access to Stockdale. In the case, let me maybe talk to the project specifically, and then I'd be happy to answer your larger question about how we affect or influence those decisions. The issue with Stockdale Highway, quite frankly, is a space one, not a will or a desire one. I think that the city of Bakersfield has been very consistent, and so has Kern COG, in expressing a desire to have access to Stockdale Highway in that location maintained. But physically, you cannot do both the 8th movement and have access to Stockdale Highway. There literally is not enough real estate to do both anymore. And so that's the engineering level decision that was made by Caltrans, frankly, a number of years ago as part of the TRIP program. So to your larger question of how did we get there, the answer is the TRIP program is what led you there. The TRIP was the collaborative effort, which, and I'd maybe try to emphasize in the front end, I think TRIP was an excellent example of how collaboration yields really wonderful sort of significant improvements to our community. Doesn't mean there aren't some elements of a project where people are like, I didn't like how that turned out. Certainly can understand that. But the TRIP program, of which Bakersfield, County of Kern, Caltrans, federal government, were all member agencies of a collaborative group working through the issues of how to design what is nearly complete now. Projects like these take 10 or 15 years to do. So again, maybe I'll close with the same statement I said on the front. This decision got made about 10 years ago, and the time to decide we didn't like that decision was maybe frustratingly 10 years ago. Now the plans are complete. We're 95% of the way done with the 8th movement, and the real estate issue has been settled. And so now it's just a timing issue of when it will be done and working through those agencies. As far as how we affect policy like that going forward, the answer is the COG is here to be a major advocate for what works here in Kern County as we work with Caltrans. Obviously, each municipality, each city here and the county ought to be advocating with Caltrans as well, but quite frankly, and they do, and I know Bakersfield does really quite extensively, but we provide a covering, a larger group setting in which we have the opportunity to advocate for a longer period of time. And because that's fundamentally the hardest thing about these projects, let me maybe I'll pontificate, I'll keep it 30 seconds, I swear, is the types of projects you guys are approving probably on a regular basis, repaving a road, or even the changes you have coming to H Street, or the project on 18th and 19th in downtown. Those projects have a 3-year life, from initiating and understanding what we want to do, to then designing and clearing it environmentally, to then constructing it. Projects that affect Caltrans right-of-way, especially in significant ways, like the Centennial Corridor, the 7th and 8th Movement, those are easily 10 and 15-year timeline projects. And you're making decisions like we make about Stockdale Highway in the first 3 years, and then you're spending the next 7 or 8 getting to construction. So I know that's not the news you wanted to hear, or that, frankly, I've heard the public commentary on the issue, but that's the reality of how large projects like this function.
No, I understand, and I appreciate that illustration for the broader public. I just, again, will underscore my disappointment in that closure, and will challenge the idea that, you know, this is all settled, and we'll continue to look for other approaches. I think it's worthwhile. I think the folks who will be impacted the most are working families, just like, as you pointed out, the Ming Avenue changes that prohibit those who are traveling from East Bakersfield on 58 West to actually exit off of 99 on Ming Avenue. It is a complete disservice to people of East Bakersfield. And I think that, you know, that will, I think that it's a wonderful project. I think that is one of the areas that make this project less than perfect.
It was a shortcoming. May I make a suggestion? And this is where the COG can help if these issues are elevated to the point and we understand consistency and importance of an issue. For instance, the Ming Avenue one, there is a solution. It's not as convenient as it was before, but for folks coming east, from the east side of town, is to get off at H Street and travel to Ming. It's not as convenient. I recognize that. And likewise, for folks wishing to make the Stockdale Avenue or Stockdale Highway exit, getting off at California and traveling down Real Road. Now, some of these surface streets are not ready for that. That's where maybe we can look for ways to make improvements to the surface streets that are now impacted by the changes that we made on these freeways, that we can try to incorporate in plans like the RTP and then look for funding to do. So not a perfect solution, but hopefully it illustrates that we're here to try to find solutions to these problems. And working with Caltrans, I might pleasantly suggest, is always a challenge for us. They're filled with great people that know what they're doing, but they're the state of California, and they're proud of it. You know, and they have policies and procedures that are very hard to get them to localize. Does that make sense?
Completely, yeah.
You know, but that's my job. That's what I see my job as. Okay. And I absolutely see you all's and the other cities' representation on our board as an avenue for that. And I'll report, for instance, Councilmember Smith, very active in CalCog, which is the California collection of COGs that does real advocacy work for the state of California for what we do and for the transportation sector. And so you all's involvement, both on our board and then in these greater efforts, is very valuable to me in terms of influencing how we do business with these agencies.
No, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Councilmember Coleman.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to first comment that 99 and 58 has been under constant construction since 1993. And so it always work going on there. You can't hardly tell where the lanes are come in the morning time because they repaved that so many times that restriped it. So I have no hope that that'll ever finish. I think that's one of those never-ending projects, but that's just more of a comment. I apologize for using the wrong term, and maybe this is better suited for the city manager or the assistant. There's a proposed parkway that runs north-south that's west of town. And I don't know what it's called, and I don't see it on the list. And so is it on our list or is it not on our list?
Thank you, Councilmember Coleman. I believe you're referring to the West Side Beltway as what it's been termed historically. And the West Side Beltway, as envisioned 20 years ago, in more recent years, we're recognizing that circulation and traffic patterns, it doesn't, that we are starting to feel like what was envisioned 20 years ago, the needs aren't quite the same today. And we even through with the conversations with developers and Bolthouse principally, who's has a lot of property and developments along the southern portion of that. We still will have a West Side Beltway. It probably just won't look quite the same. If I could go a little off of memory here, and Jay could help out if I'm off a little bit, but initially that was envisioned as a large expressway that would look like the West Side Parkway. As we're seeing the development pattern play out, it could function more like an arterial at this point and still be as effective, but not have the costs of just frankly, like $1 billion cost to build an expressway, as a beltway throughout that western portion of north and south of West Bakersfield. And so there's been a lot of discussions actually with the collective group of partners around KERCOG about how we can use some of the existing infrastructure that is in the western portions, like Highway 43, as an example for a portion of that, and then look at developing out an arterial portion that goes south from West Side Parkway through the Bolthouse properties, really at their request. And so those projects are still envisioned in our circulation element of the city, but not necessarily in this list as one of the larger regional systems that we would try and build. How would you
Actually,
add to that, Jay?
So page 18 of 23, in the big chart towards the end, second to the last entry, it's been renamed the West Urban Corridor, so it is in there. That's right now shown as constructing a new facility connecting Rosedale Highway and the West Side Parkway. And to follow on what the city manager said, we have been spending actually quite a bit of time on trying to further this from concept to reality in the last 3 to 5 years. We just completed our cargo study. The acronym means the planners came up with a great acronym. But finishing 5 or 6 years of study about how freight movement in Kern County is changing. We just adopted that last week. And in fact, we adopted a resolution, the COG board did, asking each of the cities to adopt the findings of that study into your circulation element. This doesn't come as a surprise to your staff. Again, working with Phil in the city manager's office, we have been examining a couple of different alternatives for exactly where that route would go and what kind of capacity it would have. There are still some questions to be sorted out because, quite frankly, the interchange between you guys and the city of Shafter is a challenge, and the county of Kern's mixed in there too, so getting all the agencies to kind of agree on where the line on the map ought to go is not as easy as it sounds, but we have all players are engaged in trying to work that out. So it's absolutely included in the plan. The size of the final facility is still up in the air, as well as the exact line on a map. It is actually, just to maybe final commentary, this one's fairly high on my list. I've got look, this list isn't even the whole list of everything in the county of Kern, right? Like we've got like 50 pages of projects listed in the county of Kern. Yeah, a lot of them are bike lanes. Yeah, that helps with getting the plan adopted by the state of California. And we're happy to see bike lanes go where they make sense. But what I was just going to say is, of that, 500 projects listed in the county of Kern, there's a running list of 20 in my mind that are to be worked on now. And this is one of them. So if that gives you a sense of where we think it is in terms of importance for Kern County, it's pretty high up there.
Well, I just want to be, I grew up in this Bay Area of San Jose. And San Jose went through these terrible growing pains when they changed from being largely agricultural like we are now to a bedroom community for the Bay Area and then eventually Silicon Valley. And they had a crosstown freeway that was connecting the south part of San Jose to the north part of Sunnyvale. They originally designed it in 1959 and didn't do anything until 1990, so they wound up building an obsolete freeway. And so I just want to be sure that we're using good forward thinking when we do these things, that we have an alternate way to go north and south through the community without burdening 99 anymore. So we have an alternate way for an unobstructed way to get from point A to point B, one side to the other. We missed, I think, an opportunity many years ago to keep 7th Standard as a clear road to go all the way through, because we don't have an alternate besides 58. Okay, we missed that, that ship sailed, but I think we need to be looking forward to what we're going to do in the future and not give up things for short-term goals. So that's the only thing I'll say on that. Thank you for letting me know that it is at least on your list, so I appreciate that. I also wanted to talk about the 99. You mentioned a project on 99. What exactly are you doing?
It's not us. So in this case, I'm reporting, so please don't shoot the messenger here. Caltrans has allocated and is nearly complete with the design of the rehabilitation of 99 from California to White Lane, all of the lanes.
Does it include any trees?
No,
Any
landscaping.
bushes? Because, you know, this is one of the biggest issues that we get when people come here. Is they drive through that 99 corridor and they don't want to get off the freeway because it's just plain old ugly. And we don't have the resources to be doing a lot of that landscape beautification, and we need to have some assistance on that. So is there any plan to beautify that?
Yeah, we're working on it unfortunately, due to funding constraints. Let me maybe make a plain statement. There are 8 counties in the Central Valley of California. 6 of them are self-tax for transportation alone. And there is a correspondence between what they look like on the freeway and how much of their own skin they're willing to put in the game. I'm not saying that to advocate a position, because I absolutely understand the magnitude of a statement like that. But Kern and Kings County are the only 2 in the Central Valley even that do not self-fund their own freeway development. Makes things like landscaping tough to do. That does not mean we're doing nothing. In fact, we're doing the very opposite of nothing. We spend quite a bit of time searching for ways. We think we might have some funds left over with the 7th movement right now to do some landscaping improvements in and around the 7th movement. So each time we're doing something or touching an area, we're either pushing Caltrans or seeing if we can make sure the budgets of a grant application we put in include a beautification element. Personally, I could not agree with you more. Like that is, these guys will testify. I think in the first couple of weeks I was here, I went out to lunch with them and I said, we got to do something about the way this town looks. This is my hometown. I grew up here from 1986 on. I went to West High. So this is my hometown and I care about it. And I personally carry that one around as one we've got to figure out how to do because I agree with you. The homelessness challenge is its own version of an issue there, and I know that you guys are spending quite a bit of labor on that, and we've been pushing Caltrans to join us in laboring on that. I do think we're making progress in that regard, but how far we'll get and how soon we'll get there is the challenge.
Thank you, Mr. Schlosser. Do you have anything else?
No, I just wanted to thank you for being prepared to answer our questions and to deal with my remarks. So thank you.
Absolutely fair.
Vice Mayor,
Motion to receive and file.
you have a motion to receive and file. Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved with Councilmember Smith absent.
Thank you. And now, next items, please.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Closed session, item 5A, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation for the following 2 matters. 1, the people of the state of California v. City of Bakersfield and the Bakersfield Police Department, Kern County Superior Court case number BCV 21-101928. And item 2, County of Kern v. City of Bakersfield and all persons interested in the matter concerning the City of Bakersfield adoption of a resolution adopting sewer rates for fiscal years 2026, 27 through 2030-31. Kern County Superior Court case number 26 CUB 02363.
Thank you. And motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn to closed session.
We're adjourned to closed session. Oh, you got it. You jumped up right away. You're ready. Reconvening the 3:30 City Council meeting. Madam City Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor. There were 2 items on closed session this afternoon. Item 5A1, there is no reportable action. And on item 5A2, there is no reportable action.
Thank you. And with that, we stand adjourned at 5:17.